Hello, my dear students. I hope everything is quite well and you are safe with your family as well. Well, we will continue our lessons through internet, and I will also give you our link that you will follow your lessons. So, when we were having our last lesson, we just stopped at Graham Greene's short story called A Shocking Accident. So I will just follow where we left. As we did before, we used to talk something about or give a brief explanation about each writer, short story writer, and then we used to go with each sentences and discuss what we were doing. So when we start with Graham Greene, first of all, he was born in 1904 and is regarded as one of Britain's leading writers. He has traveled widely throughout the world, and this is shown in his works, as you can follow from your PDF photocopies. The Power and the Glory, for example, is about a whiskey priest in Mexico. The Quiet American takes place in Vietnam during the war with the French. So he has written many subjects in his works as well. And A Burned Out Case sets in Congo. He traveled a lot as well, and he has experienced what he saw. So Graham Greene's novels often explore the world of crime, spying, war, and violent death. So he mainly meant with those subjects in his works. But he has also written comedies such as Our Man in Havana and Travels with My Aunt, both of which have been filmed. In addition to his novels, Greene has also written plays and several volumes of short stories. So we will deal with A Shocking Accident. It comes from one of Greene's later collections of short stories, May We Borrow Your Husband, and it deals with an apparently serious subject, a shocking accident, in a humorous way. So in the story, the Jerome is the main character, our main character, and he is just 9 when he is told about his father's shocking accident. Everybody else, however, seems to find it rather funny. So let's go on with each sentences, and I will also tell you some important points in all of the sentences. Jerome was called into his housemaster's room in the break between the second and the third class on a Thursday morning. So he is in a way at the school, and he is called into the housemaster's room. That means headmaster's room. So let's see what will happen. He had no fear of trouble. Don't forget that fear always take O, preposition, for he was a warden. Because he was a warden, keeping everything at the school. The name that the proprietor and headmaster of a rather expensive preparatory school, prep school, just for the, as we have in our university as well, prep school, had chosen to give to approved, reliable boys in the lower forms. From a warden, one became a guardian, and finally, before leaving, it was hoped for Marlborough or Rugby, a crusader. So you can just look at what the names are at the glossary, as we did before, as you can imagine. So the setting is just a beginning at a school. The housemaster, Mr. Wordsworth, so we come across with his name as well, sat behind his desk with an appearance of perplexity and apprehension. Jerome had the odd impression when he entered that he was a cause of fear. "Sit down, Jerome," Mr. Wordsworth said. "All going well with the trigonometry?" So we can easily understand that he's a maths teacher, trigonometry. "Yes, sir. I have had a telephone call, Jerome, from your aunt. I am afraid I have bad news for you." So, in a way, as I said mistakenly, Jerome is taking his trigonometry lesson for the time being. So, he has got news from his aunt, and the headmaster will give the bad news to him. "Yes, sir. Your father has had an accident." "Oh." Mr. Wordsworth looked at him with some surprise. "A serious accident?" "Yes, sir." So, in a way, Jerome is very, very curious what's going to happen now. Jerome worshipped his father. The word is exact, correct. So, he loves his father a lot. As man recreates God, so Jerome recreated his father. So a very, very deep relationship between Jerome and his father, we can easily understand from this sentence. From a restless, widowed author into a mysterious adventurer who traveled in far places. So we can easily understand again that his father travels a lot. For example, Nice, Beirut, Mallorca, even the Canaries. The time had arrived about his 8th birthday when Jerome believed that his father either ran guns or was a member of the British Secret Service. So his father worked for his government as an agent. Now it occurred to him that his father might have been wounded in a hail of machine gun bullets. So he thinks many things, let's say, just flew through his mind that his father had a very bad condition. Mr. Wordsworth played with the ruler on his desk. He seemed at a loss how to continue. So Mr. Wordsworth is hesitating to tell the whole story to Jerome. He said, "You know your father was in Naples?" "Yes, sir. Your aunt heard from the hospital today." "Oh," Mr. Wordsworth said with desperation. "It was a strict accident." "Yes, sir." So, with these question marks, as you can follow through your paper photocopy, that means that his hesitation, his suspicion is getting higher and higher now. It seemed quite likely to Jerome that they would call it a strict accident. The police, of course, had fired first. His father would not take human's life except as a last resort. So, in this sentence, you can also come across that his father would not take human life. That means that he doesn't give any harm to anybody unless something happens to him. "I am afraid your father was very seriously hurt indeed." "Oh, in fact, Jerome, he died yesterday, quite without pain." "Did they shoot him through the heart?" "I beg your pardon. What did you say, Jerome? Did they shoot him through the heart? Nobody shot him, Jerome. A pig fell on him. Just pay attention. What the boy Jerome thinks, bad things, or comes through his mind, and what he hears from his headmaster. A pig fell on him. An inexplicable convulsion took place in the nerves of Mr. Word's face. So in this time, the headmaster is hesitating as well to give the whole story to Jerome again. It really looked for a moment as though he were going to laugh. He closed his eyes, composed his features, and said rapidly, as though it were necessary to expel the story as quickly as possible, to tell the story immediately in a way. Your father was walking along a street in Naples when a pig fell on him. A shocking accident. So the name of the title comes from this. No one can imagine that while you are walking on at the streets, a pig will fall on you and will kill you. This is illogical thinking, I believe. Apparently, in the poorer quarters of Naples, they keep pigs on their balconies. So, the pigs were kept at the balconies in Naples, Napoli. They keep pigs on their balconies. This one was on the fifth floor of a balcony of a home. It had grown too fat, so the pig was so fatty, so big. The balcony broke. You can't imagine how it broke. The pig fell on your father. So Mr. Wordsworth at last tells the whole story to Jerome. Mr. Wordsworth left his desk rapidly and went to the window, turning his back on Jerome. He shook a little with emotion. He sighed. Jerome said, "What happened to the pig?" So, in this sentence, you can just imagine that. As a child, unable to explain, unable to learn, understand. And as you can see, all children love animals. So he forgets what happened to his father, but instead he has asked a question like that: what happened to the pig? So in his sense, the pig might have died. Otherwise, if it died, he would also feel sorry for his father as well as for the pig.